page. Now, these seem to be very basic things, but they're very powerful and they're very useful, and they'll carry over for the entire verbal part of the test. And so a lot of these things, you learn one little trick, and you'll find that it pays off again and again throughout the verbal section. And so it's really worth your time. And if you've ever studied Latin or a Romance language, so that's Spanish, Italian, Portuguese, French, Greco-Romansh is also in there, Romanian also, arguably, then you're in good shape because that gives you a built-in advantage. English, like I said, is still about 60% based on Latin. So if you think about a root that appears in another word you're familiar with, that right there might be all the introduction you need. But what I'd like you to see is that words are not just one monolithic piece that you either understand or you don't. Many words, if they have two or more syllables, are composed of component pieces. Sometimes they're as straightforward as a prefix, a main word root, and a suffix. And those three different parts could each be understood one at a time. And you might understand one or two or all three of those roots. So you may not understand the exact meaning of the word in that context, but you can get a good chunk of the meaning from those word roots. And then the questions on this test will set things up in such a way as the context of the passage or the sentence in question will tell you everything else you need to know. I mean, there was one question I had a while ago, and it used some words that most people don't understand. I knew them because I was a nerdy kid who collected stamps and coins, so I knew the words. But the entire thing came down to you'd be able to solve it if you understood that the root at the beginning of an otherwise unknown word to most people meant fondness for, or affection towards, or love towards. And it turned out to be that meaning was a collector of that individual item. And so if you understood that this was a positive word, that this meant the person was well disposed to blah, 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 whatever follows afterwards, that was enough to answer the question. We're going to see very often that the context will tell you in the blank, when you have one, whether you're looking for a negative word or a positive word, like the connotation of something that you have a lot of or something that you have a shortage of, or something that is, helpful or something that's harmful. And that's much easier than trying to understand exactly what the word means. So, let's look below. For instance, manufacture. Manu, M-A-N-U, or, again, Latin, M-A-N-O, means hand. And it still means the same word in Spanish and in Italian. M-A-N-O means hand. Now, facture, and this is one of those weird crossover words in German. Fachhaus is a hand-hewn timber house. But in Portuguese, you have F-A-Z-E-R, fazer, which means to make. In Italian, you have fare, F-A-R-E. Italian just skipped over these letters right there and just made it fare, to make. In Spanish, the F changes into an H, and so you have hacer, or in Castilla, hacer, and that means to make. And so literally, hand make something is to manufacture it. It may not mean precisely what the modern English connotation is, but it gives you a very strong understanding of what the word means. And so it's no joke. As we go through these words, I'm going to be giving you word roots in what I call Tarzan Latin, which would be like hand make, because that's how you want to think of it. You don't want to be thinking overly complicated about what the exact connotation is. Just what are those roots? And the two roots here are hand and make. To hand make something, to manufacture, that's good enough. And so let's look at the bottom third of this page.